Hello and welcome to this, the 14th of Ovid's Heroides. This is the story of Hypermnestra and her husband Lynceus. Hypermnestra, it's not a very well-known myth to us, I don't think, is one of 50 sisters. They are known almost always as the Danaids, the daughters of Danaus. And Danaus, Hypermnestra's dad, has a brother called Aegyptus. He has 50 sons. So numerically, this obviously works out very neatly in terms of a big family wedding. I guess in terms of recessive genes, it doesn't work out very well, but let's put that to one side. It is myth after all. Aegyptus and Danaus don't get on. Aegyptus nonetheless wants his sons to marry Danaus's daughters, to marry their cousins. And Danaus says, yes, fine, let's allow that to happen. But then he orders his daughters to all slaughter their husbands on their wedding night. So he's not a super nice father-in-law, let's say. Hypermnestra is the only one of his daughters who disobeys him, so her husband is alive to receive this letter. But that means it's kind of an odd letter, even by the standards of the Heroides. It's a letter from a wife to her husband, but it's not a romantic letter. She doesn't have a romantic relationship with Lynceus. They've only met the one time, but he owes her his life, and he hasn't abandoned her. She helped him escape an unexpected death penalty. So it's quite a strange letter, but she's very keen to remind Lynceus that she herself is now writing from prison because she saved his life, because she disobeyed her father, and so she needs some help, otherwise she will die as he was intended to die. So she is sending her letter, she says, to one of many brothers, the rest of whom were killed by their brides. So she is reminding him right up front, lines 1 and 2, that he owes her his life. She was supposed to kill him, and now she is in choky because she didn't kill him. So he owes her, if nothing else. She says, I am locked up, I am bound in heavy chains, and it's because I was pia, I was faithful, I was loyal to you. She couldn't bring herself to cut her husband's throat, and she says she doesn't regret it. Line 8, she says that her father can cut her throat by line 11. She says her father can cut her throat, and she still won't regret it. She won't regret it then either. She remembers the wedding night, and we get this incredible reimagining of what happens on the wedding night, and she talks about it being lit with these kind of beautiful torches that are trimmed in gold. The bridegrooms have all got fresh flowers in their sweaty hair, and the sweat kind of sounds gross, and at the same time it sort of makes it sound like they were having fun dancing and drinking and singing. They go into their bedrooms, thalamos sua busta, she says, a bedroom and a funeral pyre. And they press, these grooms, all doing the same thing at the same time, they press their bodies onto beds, and these beds are the same as coffins, line 32. And then Hypermnestra hears from all these chambers that are near hers, she hears, or she thinks she hears them all groaning as they die, and then she realises that she really does hear them, and yet she can't bring herself to kill her husband, to kill Lynceus. She does try. She says she holds the blade to his throat 3 times. And line 48, she says, timor et pietas, stop her in her tracks, fear and duty, piety. She's very keen to be, that's an echo of the word pia before. She is dutiful. She is, showing duty to her husband rather than to her father, for they are contradictory. And I guess also she's just not naturally murderous, let's say. She says to herself, she's reenacting that wedding night moment again. She says to herself that her father is Cyrus, savage, no kidding. And she describes her emotions that she goes through. She says that her girls' hands aren't made for weapons of war, they're made for wool. Oh yeah, that's absolutely right. Make sweaters, not war, I agree, line 65, 66. And she cries as she realises that she can't bring herself to do it. Her tears fall on Lynceus's limbs as he sleeps, and then he's still kind of groggy and mostly asleep. He reaches out for her embrace, which is just such a beautiful moment, isn't it? It's genuinely a very sweet moment. He seems like a nice man that she's saved. So he's sleepy and he reaches out for her. And because he's still mostly asleep, he almost impales himself on her sword. One of my very favourite moments of wedded bliss that we've ever come across. So line 70, the time when you nearly impaled yourself on our wedding night. It's kind of Freudian and yet reversed. There we go. Line 72, she wakes him up and she tells him to run while he still can, while night allows it. If he doesn't hurry, she says, tonight will be an endless night for him. Meanwhile, her father Danaus, or rather, I guess the next morning, her father Danaus, line 82, is furious that too little blood has been spilled because he's only got the 49 dead sons-in-law, and Lynceus got away. He sure is grumpy, isn't he, Danaus? Then Hypermnestra goes on to what I can just only describe as a very long discursus about Io, who is her ancestor. Io is one of many, 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 many women in Greek myth who finds herself on the receiving end of Zeus/Jupiter's attentions and therefore is punished by Hera/Juno. In this instance, Io is turned into a cow, and then I think turned back from being a cow into being a human form, and then becomes a goddess. So it's a long and difficult time being Io. And we get to line 109 and Hypermnestra goes, why am I telling myself these depressing old stories? We're all wondering a bit, Hypermnestra. Focus. Stop focusing on the lady turned into a cow and focus back on the whole being in prison for not having killed your husband with a sword on his wedding night. But that's what I would be doing. She says, my own years have given me plenty of sadness. Well, yes, I mean, you are in prison for not having killed your husband, which is sort of the wrong way around. We can all agree. She lists her problems. She says, you know, her father and uncle are at war, line 111. They were driven from their home, she and her sisters. Only one brother. She's sort of extending the idea of a cousin here. We've seen it in these poems before. Hermione did it with Orestes. Often you get somebody who one of these girls thinks that their male cousin she treats him as a sibling, calls him frater, brother. She says only one of these brothers is left alive, and also, you know, her sisters did the killing, so she's sort of lost them too because she's the bad one who didn't do what she was told. What does she want from Lynceus? What's the point of her letter? Line 122, she wants help. She needs to be saved from death, i.e. the penalty that will be exacted on her for not having killed him. Now, really unusually for these stories, and you know how rarely I get to say this, there's a happy ending. I love it when this happens. They will be reunited. Lynceus will save her, or in some way manage to get her out of choky because he kills her father. Hooray! Who's a wrong 'un? Hurrah! And they get to conduct, I was going to say they get married, but they're already married. They get to have a child, have a relationship, have an actual marriage as opposed to just a wedding night in which she doesn't kill him. And it all works out happily ever after. Marvellous work. Next time is, really unusual. Next time is a letter from Sappho to Phaon. Now, you may be thinking you have misheard me because Sappho is, for want of a better phrase, real, i.e. a real poet who wrote real poetry, some fragments of which survive to us today, and all the other letters are from women who are mythological. But it's an incredibly interesting thing for Ovid. Clearly, Sappho was almost myth as well as history. So we have a letter from her to Phaon, her lover, is number 15, and then we're nearly running out. I don't know what to do. Well, we'll stop, I suppose, and I could do some actual work instead, something like that. Anyway, see you next time. Bye.